Available now. Link below.
And now we delve into a story that hits at the very core of our republic's values, a tale not of triumph, but of troubling deceit within the walls of power. At the heart of this saga is Jim Biden, whose recent testimony in the impeachment inquiry has sparked more than curiosity. It's ignited a firestorm of questions about the integrity of one of America's most prominent political dynasties, with allegations of financial misdealings and influence peddling swirling. Jim Biden found himself facing not just the inquiry's probing questions, but those of a particularly bold reporter. Questions that cut to the bone of public concern. Is the leader of the free world's brother complicit in the acts that undermine our nation's principles? As Jim Biden danced around the inquiries, the air thickened with a stench of evasion. This isn't just another political scandal, it's a litmus test for our nation's soul. So stay with us for a report that doesn't just scratch the surface, but burrows into the heart of what these revelations mean for our republic. You don't want to miss our final thought on why this matters to you, the American people. This is a story of power, of greed, and of a fight for the very identity of our nation. Now, before we dive deeper into our special report, I do want to share something critical. Just like the top-notch news we bring you daily, maintaining our health requires attention to detail and a commitment to excellence. Excess belly fat, much like the excesses of the Biden family financial dealings, pose a significant risk, not just to our personal health, but to the integrity of our nation's governance. It's deep-rooted, hidden, and if left unchecked, it can undermine the very foundations that we rely on. That's why, much like our pursuit for truth and transparency in leadership, I've turned to an incredible new product designed to target and reduce this harmful fat. It's about cutting through the facade, getting to the heart of the problem, whether it's in our bodies or our body politic. And right now, you can get 51% off for the rest of the month, so don't wait. It's time to take action. Visit trimwithgary.com. That's trimwithgary.com. Now, let's get back to the Biden inquiry. And the saga surrounding Jim Biden's testimony in the impeachment inquiry isn't just another episode in the political drama that's gripped our nation. It's a revealing glimpse into the mechanisms of a family that's seemingly placed itself above the law. As Jim Biden walked through those doors to face the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees of his family's legacy and the shadows of their dealings looming large behind him. Our story begins with Jim Biden, the brother to the president, stepping into the limelight, not by choice but by necessity, as he's called to testify in an impeachment inquiry. Now, it's not just another testimony. It's a moment fraught with tension, with the potential to peel back the layers in the Biden family's intricate dance with power and influence. As Biden and Jim arrived, reporters swarmed, their questions sharp, probing, and unrelenting. The anticipation was palpable. The truth, he said, when asked what he planned to tell the committee. But the truth, as we've come to understand, is a complex weave in the fabric of the Biden narrative. Watch.
We're not commenting now with the committee today. We're not commenting now with the
Now, the questions didn't stop at formalities. They cut deeper, touching on the personal and controversial. Was the president mentally competent? Did Hunter smoke crack at the White House? These aren't just spicy questions. They're the kind that expose the underbelly of a dynasty marred by scandal and suspicion. Here's more.
Did Hunter smoke crack at the White House?
Excuse me.
He does look remarkably like his brother. That's James Biden, the younger brother of President Joe Biden, going in for his on-the-record testimony.
Now, Jim Biden's testimony was shrouded in secrecy, a closed-door session that left the public yearning for transparency, yet pieces of his 10-page opening statement leaked, revealing a narrative filled with deflection. He spoke of tragedy and loss, a move to humanize and perhaps distract from the core issues at hand. So what does a decades-old family tragedy have to do with the allegations of financial improprieties now facing the Bidens? It's a classic misdirection, a sympathy plea to veil the hand and the hard questions about integrity and accountability. And he denied any wrongdoing by his brother in his business ventures, maintaining a narrative of separation between personal relationships and professional dealings. Now, this claim, however, rings hollow in the face of mounting evidence and testimonies that suggest otherwise. The denial of any financial intertwining with his brother's political clout directly contradicts the allegations brought forward by Tony Bobulinski, a former business associate who paints a starkly different picture of the Biden family dealings. Now, Bobulinski's claims, backed by documents and communications, suggest a deep and direct involvement of Joe Biden in his family's business ventures, particularly with the Chinese energy company CEFC. Now, this narrative starkly contrasts with Jim Biden's testimony, raising critical questions about the truth and integrity of the Biden family. The testimony of another associate, Rob Walker, further complicates the Biden story, confirming meetings between Joe Biden and foreign nationals involved in funneling money to his son. Now, the House Oversight Committee's investigations have unearthed uncomfortable truths about the Biden family financial dealings, including questionable loans and transactions that suggest a pattern of influence peddling. Jim Biden's alleged use of his brother's name to secure deals and a $200,000 payment from a failing healthcare firm, only to be mirrored by an identical payment to Joe Biden, speaks volumes of the quid pro quo nature of their operations. Now, as we previously reported, the so-called loan between the Biden brothers is under scrutiny, with calls for transparency and documentation to substantiate their claims. Yet, the silence and evasion from the Biden camp are telling. Watch.
Since this thing was marked a loan repayment, you might need to get the President of the United States to turn over those loan documents. Are you looking at that as a possibility?
Yes, we've already called for the President to release the terms of the so-called loan that he apparently claims he made to his brother. But look, whether or not he made a loan is irrelevant. What matters is Joe Biden benefited to the tune of $200,000 from this. Either he made a loan to his brother, like they claim, which I don't believe, but let's say they pull something out of their rear end, John, and say they made a loan to his brother for $200,000. His brother could not have paid that loan back without influence peddling the company, AmeriCorps Health, out of $200,000. We have Jim Biden's bank records, and I can say with 100% confidence that he had very little money in that checking account for a long time. And the only way he could have paid that back was with that $200,000 payment. So either Joe Biden was paid $200,000 as part of the influence peddling scheme, payback, kickback, dividend, whatever you want to call it, or Joe Biden actually made a loan to his brother. And because his brother influence peddled AmeriCorps Health, he paid him back $200,000. So either Joe Biden made $200,000 or he didn't lose $200,000. Either way, Joe Biden's $200,000 better off today because of his family's influence peddling scheme. And like everything else, John, we know that Joe Biden met the CEO of AmeriCorps Health. We know that Jim Biden made a pitch to AmeriCorps Health that he could help them get all sorts of money from the Middle East through his brother's contacts in the Middle East. This is classic influence peddling 101, and Joe Biden, as is always the case, was front and center in this. But this time, we have the hard evidence that he benefited to the tune of $200,000.
Wow. So this testimony and the inquiry at large isn't just about financial dealings. It's about the integrity of our nation's leadership and the transparency owed to the American people. The Bidens' consistent denial and deflection in the face of mounting evidence suggests a troubling disregard for accountability. So if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. In the wake of Jim Biden's testimony, we're left to ponder the deeper implications of the saga on our republic. This isn't merely about the financial dealings of one family. It's about the erosion of trust in our public institutions and the need for a leadership that stands not above, but within the bounds of law and ethics. The audacity of the Bidens, as unveiled through this inquiry, challenges us to demand more from those in power. It's a stark reminder that integrity and transparency aren't just virtues, they are the bedrock of a functioning republic. As Americans, we must hold our leaders accountable, scrutinize the shadows of influence, and champion the return of a governance that serves the people, not personal agendas. So let this moment be a call to action, a rallying cry for the restoration of the principles that define our great republic.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.